Welcome back to the green yard. Today I'm making a video that I hate to make, but is also really important for me to make. I say I hate to make it because I, just like all of these beautiful tropical trees, hate the cold. I would much rather, personally, have it be 115 degrees out than have it be in even the 60s or the 50s for a high. Of course, that's going to mean the low is a lot less. Unfortunately, it's this time of year where we're entering into fall. This is more of our typical fall. Last year, we didn't really get to see any of those low temperatures until almost into December. This year, it's starting earlier with the end of October, actually beginning of November. It's actually Halloween today. Happy Halloween. And in about 3 days, we are projected to have temperatures down to the low 40s. Which in the green yard unfortunately means that it's probably going to be maybe even the high 30s. For some reason, even though we're in central Phoenix, we're supposed to be warmer than everywhere else. We tend to be a few degrees cooler than everywhere else. So kind of an interesting microclimate that we have set up here, something important for you to keep track of in your green yard as well. So I'm over here in the food forest part of the green yard, and I'm here with my absolute favorite tree right now. This is my favorite tree at the moment. It is our guanabana tree, or our soursop tree. So if you remember from our excursion into the Peruvian Amazon, we got to see some guanabana growing there in its native climate. Also got to try some. It's really good. This tree has done so well this year. It's grown about maybe at least 2 feet, maybe even 3 feet. So it's doing really great. Now the problem though is that soursop trees are ultra frost sensitive. Anything below that 50-degree mark, they need some shade, some frost fabric, some protection, some cold protection. So we've actually hit about 46 already, and it's doing okay. It's still putting off some new leaves, which is really encouraging that, you know, it's kind of adjusted to this microclimate, to this area. We're definitely a little bit warmer here, but the problem is that once we get into the high 30s, it's not going to be okay. So it's able to take that mid 40-degree temperature, but as a young tree, it is not going to survive when we hit, you know, the low 40s, upper 30s. So it's important that we go through and we protect these trees in advance before we hit those temperatures. Really want to make sure we get a good solid frost protection, cold protection established. So I'm going to go through how I do that. I did this last year and everything was perfect. I lost one tree, which was a really small coconut palm. I wasn't really expecting it to live, but everything else did amazing through that frost. Although I have planted some more cold sensitive, cold intolerant plants this year. So we're gonna see how it goes this year. Our jackfruit tree was probably our most cold intolerant, our cold sensitive tree, and it passed with flying colors. In fact, it grew a little bit during last winter. We're projected to have a mild winter this year, but we're still dipping down to where we need to protect these guys. So let's go ahead. One of the cool things, actually, you can see a little bit of cold. Oh no, that's just a caterpillar. I was gonna say some curled leaves here and there, definitely a sign of some cold damage. I do have some cold damage on some of my other trees. The Santol tree is right back here as well. Santol is incredibly cold sensitive as well. So we're actually gonna wrap these two up together to hopefully make a nice warm cocoon for them for over the winter, so they survive until they can reach maturity, or at least be a little bit bigger. They may even survive that temperature themselves once they're a little bit more acclimated. What I like to do is I like to make a box. Usually I do a box per tree. This one I'm going to do a box for my 2 trees here. And then I use my DeWitt frost fabric, and I just kind of wrap it around in a square, make sure all sides are protected, and most importantly, make sure it has a good solid roof on there. I do also add incandescent Christmas lights, the big bulb, the C9s and the I think they're C12s, I think. Don't quote me on that. But the larger bulbs, C11, C12s, And I do put those at the bottom because remember, heat rises. So the heat will actually rise to the top of the frost fabric and stay in this box. I did some measurements last winter, and the plants and the environment inside those frost fabric boxes were anywhere between 10 to 20 degrees warmer than the outside temperature. So if it was 34 degrees, which we did hit 34 degrees last year, it was 54 degrees, or at least in the 50s, high 40s in the box. So I did have some damage, but in the end, they survived through it and were able to come out of that frost fabric box come March, late March, beginning of April, and then thrive and grow. So I need some stakes. I need some stakes. I put one on each corner to make that box. Now, I realized last year that it's very expensive to buy brand new stakes, or even to buy stakes to begin with. So I came up with a more sustainable way of doing this. We have these huge mulberry trees here, and they provide new growth, especially at cut branches. And that new growth ends up being about 1 inch to 1.5 inches thick, and it also ends up being a good length to provide our base for this frost fabric. I ended up doing it last year. It worked perfectly. And guess what? I have a brand new crop of those 6 to 8 foot stakes that I'm going to use again this year. I just trimmed a few. So I've taken off all the leaves, and we have these perfect sturdy stakes for us to put in as our 4 corners for our frost fabric box. So let's go ahead and put these in and start putting on our frost fabric. Here we go. Alright, so we have 2 stakes in. Now there is one drawback to using your own homemade sustainably sourced stakes. So it's really hard to pound them in with a hammer. You know, you get the pre-manufactured stakes, easy to pound them into the ground, no big deal. Now I got 2 in, and these ones are in pretty good, pretty sturdy, not going anywhere. And the problem is, the other 2 are going to be a little bit hard to get in. So I'm going to soak the ground a little bit. I need to water these trees anyways. So we're going to soak the ground a little bit, get them in, and then we'll go ahead and put in our frost fabric. All right, so I got all 4 stakes in. I went ahead and soaked the ground around. I didn't do it for very long, only about a minute or so. I soaked that ground. I got it nice and soft. Was able to push those stakes in about 6 to 8 inches each. So you'll see now they're at a height of about 7 feet or so. We want to give the trees lots of room at the top, just in case they decide that it's warm enough for them to grow. Like I said last year, I actually had my jackfruit tree grow during the winter, so it actually ended up running into the roof of my frost fabric structure, and it caused some damage because it was against that roof. It really got that cold at the top. So now let's go ahead and get our frost fabric in here and kind of wrap it around and see what we can do. Here we go. All right, so this has ended up being a 2-day process just to cover these guys here. That's why I'm dressed differently, but I had some technical issues with the camera yesterday. So this is kind of what the structure looks like when it's actually put up. I'm gonna go ahead, I still have to add the roof to it here. What I did, and what I'll do is I'll put our jackfruit covering over top of this. But what I did is I started on one end, and I went ahead and attached that end here with my zip ties, and then I ran the frost fabric around, attaching it at each section. all the way around until I'm here. You'll notice that some of the sticks moved a little bit. That's bound to happen, so it may not be perfectly tight here all the time, but that's okay. We'll make it work anyways, and the nice thing is that I can simply attach this to my top fabric and it ends up being perfect. So we have our Santol and our Soursop tree inside our frost structure. It's now projected to be in the 30s for a low here on Thursday, so I'm rushing now to get everything covered. It's been beautiful the last few days, lows in the mid 50s, and now all of a sudden we have a cold front coming through and it's going to be low or upper 30s, which for most of our tropical trees is an issue. So let's go ahead. I have to cut any excess fabric, which I do have a lot here. You can see all this excess fabric on the side, so I do have to cut this off. That's why I have my scissors. I already attached it though here, so I don't have to worry about attaching it. Everything here is going to stay on this frame, and I'm simply going to just cut off that excess fabric and probably use it for my roof. So let's go ahead and let's get the roof going here. So there we have it, pretty protected. I am still going to add in my incandescent Christmas lights to add that heat source. Remember, these two especially are ultra tropical trees, so I have to add that heat source in order to keep that temperature as high as I possibly can. Typically, depending on which tree you're doing, this will be until they're like 5 or 6 years old. Oftentimes for like our mangoes, our papayas, those are things that we don't necessarily need to cover after a few years. They get acclimated to our climate. If we do have a really cold winter, then it would be an issue, but overall in our climate here in Phoenix, a general frost covering when they're young, the first 3 to 5 years is all that's needed, and then they do acclimate to our climate. They may lose their leaves and suffer a little bit, but overall the tree itself will live. So let's go ahead and let's add in our incandescent lights so that this is all done. Here we go. All right, so I went ahead and grabbed my large light bulbs here, my I believe these are C12s, okay? Large Christmas light bulbs. Now these ones get extra hot. The C9s are like the medium-sized bulbs. These are all incandescent. You have to make sure that you get incandescent for your lights if you're adding an external heat source, because LED bulbs do not get hot like incandescents do. So if you put an LED strip in here, it's really not going to do anything, or at least not do what you want it to do. So I'm going to go ahead and put these incandescent light bulbs in here. What I'm going to do is simply put them on the bottom and kind of put them around on the bottom how I would want that heated, and it's going to end up creating that heat to kind of raise that temperature in here. So luckily I left enough space at the bottom, which you can't quite see, but I left enough space at the bottom where I'm able to slide my hand in here and put these around. All right, so that's been strung around the bottom. Some important things to keep in mind For one, always check the strand first, just like if you were to put them up, because I would hate to string all that out and then have it not work. Two, though, you want to make sure that you put it around the entire tree so one spot isn't hotter than the other. Now the nice thing is that with a box like this, it ends up working out pretty well regardless, because it traps that heat in and all raises to the top and traps it in. The last thing is you want to make sure that's not touching any leaves. The bulbs do get hot. They do have a tendency to burn those leaves if they are touching them. So I like to simply put it on the bottom and then let those light bulbs do their thing. So let's go ahead and plug it in and show you the overall what it looks like and how everything is. All right, so here's our structure. You can see I've tied all of the tops. This is what it looks like overall. We're right here by our dragon fruits climbing up the tree. The back of it is all secured as well. And if we look inside here, you can see that there's a whole bunch of incandescent light bulbs everywhere. That's what it's going to look like at night. And that's what's going to keep that heat for when we have a really cold night. So these two trees have been wrapped up in their blanket. They're ready to go. And now we're going to go ahead and protect our other trees. I am planning on putting out a video specifically about the green yard and what trees need protection, what trees don't, because there are different trees that actually like the cold and thrive from it, like our deciduous trees, our stone fruits really like that, our mulberries. So it just kind of depends on the tree that you have, what will work best for you when it comes to protecting. So I'm planning on doing a video going through all of our different trees and showing which ones I am protecting, which ones I'm not. And of course, if you do a frost structure like this is more of a permanent structure. I don't work from home, so I go to work every day, and I am not in a position to uncover and recover my plants every night. When I worked from home, though, I was in that position, and I literally would come out every morning, uncover my plants, and then recover them in the evening. So it kind of depends on your abilities as well, which one would work best for you. This, of course, will be the best structure overall because it is more of that permanent structure. It's not going anywhere for the entirety of winter. All I have to do is either put my lights on a timer or, plug them in, unplug them during the day. But that's not really the issue. It is protected. These plants are protected. They're not going to get any frost, any cold. They will be safe throughout the whole winter. So growing these tropical trees is definitely work. It's a lot of work. I say it's not just a hobby, it's a little bit more of a lifestyle because you do spend all this time growing these trees, but in the end of the day you get rewarded. You get mangoes. We're about to have some papayas hopefully in the spring. So I love growing my own food. I love growing the trees. So for me, it's totally worth it to spend the time to, make these frost structures. So hopefully I can get some guanabana and some Santol fruit from these trees. As always, I hope your day is great. Live green, plant lots, and of course, have fun. We'll see you next time.